What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Anonymous and today I'm gonna continue my survival series. I got a lot of builds planned, so make sure you stick around, let's get it done. Alright, first up on the list is decorating this ugly looking villager breeder. It kinda just sits there on a pile of dirt and I wanna change that. I decided to use stone bricks for this and it turned out more like a prison, but let's not hide what it actually is, right? Now I'm finally gonna build a mob farm. This design makes use of scaffolding for easier building, and in addition, mobs cannot pathfind on scaffolding. This prevents them from fighting the water's current. Theoretically, I could build up to 25 platforms, but that would be overkill for starters. I do have quite an efficient mob farm planned for the future though. Probably the hardest resource to collect is string for all the scaffolding. In total I built 11 layers here, which turned out to be a well fit for my needs at this time. Then I was facing a big problem. I was slowly running out of food. So I made this compact animal pen with pigs and cows. Unfortunately, the footage is gone. Anyways, I then AFK'd at the mob farm for some time and filled up the tree farm with some bone meal. Once done, I headed for the nether and started collecting ancient debris. In total, I found 24 pieces, which was more than I intended to go for. Before I build a sugarcane farm, I gotta tell you something. I kinda went to fight the ender dragon and got myself an elytra, but OBS decided to not play along, so I lost the footage of that. However, this won't be too much of an issue much longer. I found out that the replay mod was updated to the 1.19, so even if I lose the footage, I still have replay mod as a backup recording. Anyways, here's the sugarcane farm. This is a very compact design that you could expand into all 6 directions. Now it's time to get a second elytra and some more shulker boxes. Currently I only have 2 of them. The reason for that is that when I fought the ender dragon I kind of forgot to bring a bow and I did not have all too much food on me either. While in the end city I ran out of food after like 3 minutes or so and I couldn't shoot down the shulkers. Due to my own mismanagement of what to bring to the end, I cut that trip short, but the second time I was a lot better prepared and collected enough shulker shells for 14 boxes that I can store in my ender chest. As you might have noticed, not all my tools were netherite yet, so I headed over to the nether again and found 34 pieces of ancient debris. Now this is gonna be enough netherite for all my tools. By the way, I totally didn't get close to dying this one time. Before starting one of the biggest tasks in this episode, I did some enchanting. Especially useful was respiration and depth strider. Moving on, I started with the garden farm. This design is so practical, I didn't even have to drain the monument or anything like that, which would take quite a long time to do. Here's the timelapse made with replay mod. With the enchanting setup at the garden farm, I had no problems of getting all the juicy enchantments that I wanted. Now fully decked out, I traveled back to my home and worked on the mob farm. I didn't expand it, but I changed the pickup system. One hopper minecart on a single line of rails wouldn't pick up all the drops, and because only hoppers pull items out of the minecart, these would fill up rather quickly. So I added 2 more rail lines with a hopper minecart each and buried hopper minecarts in the ground to pull out items from the moving minecarts on top, greatly increasing the speed of the unloading process. Continuing to decorate, I finally did the access to the tree farm's output, changed the floor beneath the glass of the water pool and patched up holes in the ground around the area. Alright guys, it's time for the raid farm, but hold your horses. The stacking raid farm by ENXO4 could be built mainly by pouring water over a lava tower. While that is very practical and quick to do, I wanted to use other blocks instead of plain cobblestone. Going with the emerald theme, I decided to use lime concrete and glass. For the roughly 20 stacks of concrete, I used a gravity block Duper. For converting the powder into solid blocks, I built this concrete maker, which makes use of a TNT duper to blow up the blocks. The remaining resources were easy to collect except for redstone. I was constantly running out of it, but the raid farm should have me covered with that once I've built it. Anyways, let's stop talking and run the time lapse. So there you have it. It took up quite a lot of time, but that's alright. I also upgraded my axe to netherite and my 2 hoes. 2 things are missing now before I can start using the raid farm though. The filters are not yet set up because I need about 3 stacks of emeralds first, but I can just run it for a couple of seconds and we should be good. Then I also need a different sword. My main sword has fire aspect on it and that would destroy the armor stand. Therefore, I'll just make a new one, and thanks to the garden farm I built earlier, that's a piece of cake. Earlier this episode, I almost ran out of food, so I built the animal pen. However, I now have all the emeralds I'll ever need and can trade these for golden carrots with a master level farmer. That means the animal pen is kinda useless, but also the killing mechanism includes lava instead of me using my looting 3 sword. Looking back on it now, I realized it wasn't the smartest idea. Anyways, I still could use cows for leather for example, so I thought to myself, why not make a bit more humane environment for these animals and build a barn? So that's what I decided to build next. It also has room for 6 different animals. Let's get to building. Oh, that was a lot of fun to figure out and build it. As for now, I have only added cows, pigs and sheep. As you can see, I'm finally adding the pathways to each of the farms. Before they were just kinda scattered around my base, so now it makes a lot more sense that there are paths connected to each of them. At last, I decorated the collection area of the concrete maker. Before we get to the end of the episode, there's one more enchantment I wanted to get, and it is only to be found in a very specific location. That's right, I'm talking about the newest enchantment, Swift Sneak. To acquire it, we gotta loot an ancient city. But what about the warden, you ask? Well, you certainly could loot the structure cautiously with wool to prevent sensors activating the shriekers, resulting in the warden spawning. However, if you could trigger a certain shrieker repeatedly every 10 seconds, you wouldn't be able to spawn a warden anywhere else at all. This is because of a global 10-second cooldown. Well, this machine does exactly that. The arrows shot by the player do not despawn because the piston that's hooked up to a perfect 10-second clock keeps moving them around. A skulk sensor will then trigger the shrieker. Then, because there is no possible spawning location for the warden, the game fails to spawn one in. Using a chunk loader, this will disable all warden spawnings in the entire Minecraft world for one player. You could easily convert this into a warden farm later on. Here's all the loot I collected in the city. I found 2 Swift Sneak 3 books and 1 with Swift Sneak 1 apart from the basic loot. Anyways, that's already all for today. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If so, consider leaving a like or subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. Hope you have a nice one, and until next time.